Do you hear Stephen Miller yesterday talking about, what we're doing now in Memphis by order of the governor? The governor has asked for help, national help, so the National Guard is on its way into Memphis to put an end to the madness in Memphis. And here's Stephen Miller on this yesterday.
We will liberate this city from the criminal element that has plagued it for generations. This is not just a strategy shift. This is an attitude shift. We are not going to live in an environment anywhere where there is a street that belongs to a criminal, where there is a neighborhood that belongs to a gang, where there is any physical space anywhere that belongs to anyone other than the law-abiding citizens and families of Memphis. The idea that there is a square inch of block in this city where a citizen doesn't feel safe is unacceptable. This is Memphis. This is the United States of America, and all that is done. It's over. It's finished.
That is wow. Meanwhile, in Portland, Antifa has their 100 nights of rule. They have now ruled the streets for 100 nights, and police aren't doing anything at all. I mean, Stu, what are we headed for?
It's amazing. First of all, the Stephen Miller thing, some people might look at that and say it's a bit utopian, right? Like, how are you going to, just nirvana, you're going to be able to stop all crime? No, but that should be the aspiration.
Yeah.
Should it not at least be, should it at least be the goal? One that you admit to and acknowledge?
Is it aspirational or reasonable to say there's no street in America that should belong to the mob or to, gangs or whatever?
No.
There is no street. You might say, there's going to be crime, but there is no street that should be off limits and run by anybody else other than the elected representatives.
I mean, first of all,
people.
both of us lived near New Haven, Connecticut. Some streets should be run by the mob, and they're run very well. If the mob existed.
Well, I'm not saying the mob exists. If it does exist, I of course love the mob.
Huge fans of it. Great pizza places. But yeah, I agreed. Like it should not be overtaking a community. Like I went on a vacation this summer, and I was in an area in Florida, and I just remember just walking around thinking, like, it doesn't seem like anything could possibly go wrong in this place. Like, there are places like that in America. Turning major cities into those areas is not probably fully plausible. However, that should be our goal. Our goal should be that people don't walk around terrified, don't walk around scared. You should be able to, at the very least, Glenn, with approaches that we all know and understand, be able to reduce crime massively in these cities. It's only caring. It's only caring and resources to make that happen. We all know that we can stop crime largely if we put enough resources at it and actually care. Throw enough resources at it and actually care. And that's what it seems to be that Stephen Miller and Trump are talking about here.
I think that's generally true, but I think what has really been lost is not caring as much as common sense. I mean, you can care all you want, but if you're not putting common sense into it, if you're not saying, oh, by the way, how do we stop crime? I don't know. We punish the criminals. Yeah. That's how you stop crime.
That's a better way of phrasing it than throwing resources at it, because throwing resources could be some liberal program of hugging each criminal. That's not what I'm talking about. You're right.
Because that's what they say. They say they're the ones that care so much. We're going to take care of these poor criminals. And, how dare you judge them? We're going to make it, happy and healthy with hugs. No.
Right. But you look at D.C.
Common sense is required.
Right. D.C. You put a bunch of, in that case, troops were, and National Guard and such like that. You can.
This case, too.
Right. And that one, though, they're specifically in Portland talking about, in Memphis, it's being welcomed, as we've talked about, by the governor. In Portland, they're talking about protecting federal buildings, which is under their scope. But it's a situation where any city could do this themselves. You don't need a federal response to hire a bunch of law enforcement officers to enforce the law. You don't need that. Mm-hmm. You should be able to do it yourself. And that's what I'm talking about when I say people caring, right? It's about like these cities. do the Skid Row thing, right? They just kind of like, oh, well, cordon off that area. I mean, like Chicago. I've been to Chicago, several times over the past few years when it's been a big topic of conversation. And each time I've been there, honestly, I haven't felt unsafe at all in Chicago. That's largely because I'm not going to any of the areas where all these murders are happening. Now, I'm sure some of the crime obviously happens in the more tourist-friendly areas, but like, generally speaking, walking around the areas of Chicago where you would go if you're just visiting to, check out a baseball game or see a concert or whatever you might be doing, most of that stuff seems completely fine in the city because they've cordoned off all the areas of violence to the places that they don't care about. And all the people on the left will say, what do you mean we don't care? We're the only ones who care about those areas. Do you? Oh, sure. You don't show it very well. If you actually do care about those people in lower income areas where all the crime is, I don't know, do something about it. Stop trying to blame Donald Trump, who lives thousands of miles away.
Would you listen to a parent that said, I care about my children. I care deeply about my children, but then was hugging it out with everyone who is hurting your children,
right?
Making your children unsafe, maybe killed one of your children, maybe raped one of your children? No, you would never assign, oh, that parent really loves his children, he's enabling all of the abusers.
Right.
No, you would say you're part of the abuse. You're part of the problem. And those children would be taken from you. So you can't tell me you love your city. You're loving, we're just doing this through love. No, you don't. You can claim that, but your actions do not match the fruit of the word love.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
In Portland, they're talking about, Dave Marcus was out there. He works for Fox News, and he's out there like actually looking. He's like, I can't even believe this is happening, and went there to just check it out and see what was happening there. And he was saying, it's clear the police have been told that they can't do anything.
Oh, in Portland?
In Portland. They've been told they are not allowed to take on the Antifa members who are taking over the community every night for 100 nights. Like that is a centralized decision somewhere where a decision is being made that they don't care about these people. They don't care about their community. They don't care. They'd rather let the Antifa run wild. And it's like, if that's your decision, first of all, you should pay for it politically. But secondly, like you are endangering every member of your community with the decision like that. And that's the type of stuff that common sense and just caring can solve.
I'm just looking for that story from Fox News. I think it's the same one you were talking about. I read it this morning, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
He's there on the streets, and he's watching what's happening. Normal people getting surrounded. One guy drives up in a truck, and they surround his truck and, screaming all kinds of things at him. And he talks to the guy in the truck and says, why are you even here? And he's like, I can't take it anymore. We just can't give up our city. Another woman, she had her car surrounded, and, they were ready to yank her out of the car. And she's just a woman just driving down the street, and they just they're ready to beat her. And he helps her get into her car, and she goes away. And when he walks back, the police are there, and they question him, and they say, "What just happened? What did you just do?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me? I did what you guys should have done. I went over there and helped that woman get back into the car." And they were like, "Good, thank you." What do you mean, good, thank you? Why aren't you doing it? One woman had to fill out a form for the police. They're not going to do anything, but they escorted her out of the scene, made her go like a mile and a half away so she wouldn't cause any trouble with Antifa. That's unreasonable. Now, the governor of Portland doesn't want to do anything about it. Okay.
Mayor, yeah.
The mayor and the governor, neither of them are interested in having Donald Trump go in. But just so you know, federal buildings are something else. You're coming after a federal courthouse. You're coming after ICE. You're coming after the FBI. The United States government has a right to defend that land, and it will, and it should. But we are just, I think today, if you listen to, at least the 2 of the hours today, last hour and this hour of today's podcast, you'll get an understanding of where we are in today's world. It is, it's accelerating rapidly. And if these things continue at this pace, by 2028, America will be pretty much alone in the world, and the rest of the world will be begging us to help them with their freedom because it is slipping away quickly. Pray for your nation.